return to you.
Welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Brent Smith. I have Jean on the camera. Apologies for the late start, but there was some stream issues. Eugene managed to sort it out. And then we have Samuel Chevalier and Dangerous Dave out in the other vehicle. They're running a little bit late due to some mechanical difficulties, but hopefully they'll be joining us on safari shortly. But exciting news. I heard a little bird whisper into my ear that Karula might have crossed a Gowrie Main at some time during the day. So we're going to go have a squiz in that area. So fingers crossed that the Queen is out and about. And I think she might be heading towards the Treehouse Waterhole for a drink. So that's where we're on our way to. So it seems like everyone is as happy as we are to be online. As I said, just a few minutes late, but fortunately not too long before we were able to get that sorted. So what I've started from further to the north and just zigzagging my way across these sandy roads to make sure Karula hasn't moved even further in without us knowing. So basically trying to sneak back towards the last place we heard about her. And of course, keeping an eye out for any other magical creatures that live out here in the African bushveld. The drier it gets, the easier the tracks are going to become to see. So fingers crossed. We had quite a cool day, even though the sun is bright and shining now. It was overcast for quite a lot of the day today. So that means it was cool enough. And being winter now, it is quite cool during the day, so the animals are, or do sometimes move more than they would have, say, a month or two ago. It's at 26 degrees Celsius at the moment, which is, I cannot remember in Fahrenheit, but I guess it's around 70, high 70s. Glorious winter's afternoon. Still a bit of greenery around, and it's going to be amazing. By October, there's going to be barely a tree that's got leaves on it, apart from the odd evergreen. So what we're really looking for is one step better than a leopard track. We're looking for a drag mark. So the tracks of a leopard dragging a kill off into the bush, that would be first prize. So we got some news on Shadow today, and she hasn't been seen in quite a long time, and neither have her cubs. So there was quite a bit of speculation amongst a lot of the guides about what happened, but she has been seen just to the south of a property called Hoffman's in another property called Mala Mala, and she has still one cub. No one is sure what happened to the other cub, but she has one cub left. She has lost one. And actually the last place I saw Queen Karula and her cubs the day I went on leave was right here, just in the bush off to the right. So hopefully she's still in this area somewhere, or moved back into this area. Let's hope Jean-Andre is checking the trees carefully while I check the ground. Henry Fan Addict would like to know how come no one tells us who's in FC anymore. Well, we normally do. I forgot this afternoon, so that's completely my fault. It is Louise and Geraldine this evening. Okay, so no sign of Karula crossing further to the north. So now I just want to check very carefully around these roads. This is an area we have seen her quite a lot in. So we just drove past a large group of termite mounds, and Charlotte in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, is wondering, when do they become abandoned or extinct, and what causes such? Well, Charlotte, generally, as far as I know, they can be used for many generations, but there's quite a lot of debate about what could actually cause extinction. Certainly other parasitic insects, like the African thief ant. Now, the African thief ant looks very similar to a red driver ant, if anyone knows what they look like. I do have my insect book here. But that's only the queens and the drones. The way the African thief ant is able to raid termite colonies is really, really incredible. And I'm going to just find it quickly in the book for you here, as it is that interesting. There we go. The African thief ant. So they specialize in parasitizing termites. Let's see, there we go. Now, that is the big adult, which is quite big. It's probably very close, a bit smaller than that in real life. But if you look carefully on its abdomen, those are the workers. They are absolutely minute. Now, what happens is these things are so small, they walk into a termite mound and into the termite colony, and the African thief ant will actually make its colony on an active termite mound. And the workers are so small that they are able to walk into the termite's main egg-laying chamber and walk out with babies. So that's one of the interesting little creatures that does parasitize on termites. Whether they'll be effective enough to wipe out or cause the extinction of a colony, I'm not 100% sure. You probably find that they might utilize all the sort of necessary biomass around if they sort of harvest the termites, and they'll close up that colony and move on. With your fungus-growing termites, you might find that it might get flooded and their fungus farms wiped out. So there's quite a few different things that can cause extinction, but to pinpoint what caused a specific termite mound to become extinct is near impossible. As we're heading further and further into the dry season, Monty's wondering, what do all the leaf eaters eat if all the leaves are gone? Well, we never truly lose all the leaves, Monty. There are quite a few evergreen species that will have leaves throughout the winter, so the browsers will feed off those during the dry time. Just checking very carefully around here. Oh, excuse me. Jandre thinks that's hilarious that I can't sneeze quietly. Very pleasant temperature at the moment, not too hot, not too cold. I wonder where Queen Karula could be. I'm just glancing up into the bowels of the big marulas, hoping to see a tail hanging. So she was supposed to have crossed around here after drive this morning, so hopefully we do find some tracks. Nope. I'm going to check through to the southern boundary before going to check down at the water. Just gonna have a quick squiz. That's a hyena around this little junction here. Maybe a little bit further down towards the old quarry. Make sure we don't miss a track. Guillaume in France is wondering, as winter approaches, do certain species migrate? Well, they most certainly do, but it's mostly the birds. A lot of the migrants have already left, and some of them have even come to visit you in France, Guillaume. The European roller and European beater can both be found. Oh, sorry, excuse me. In the south of France. Be very careful not to miss anything there. And also we have altitudinal migrants. So certain bird species will move from the mountains further down into the low veld when it gets really cold up in the high mountains. You always got to go doubly slow on these main access roads, as they do have a lot of traffic. Good spot to look for tracks. Anything your side, Jandre? No, nothing. Okay. I'm gonna loop down and then come back towards the waterhole and then check on this southern road here. Amazing how that it was completely overcast and cloudy around 12 o'clock, and now there's barely a cloud in the sky. Blue skies. So just to let everyone know, we will be having a school drive for a period a little bit later on the safari. But you're always more than welcome to join us on the school drives. So no sign of any tracks here. Oh, but we are causing a traffic jam. I'm going to speed up to get to the next road down. Didn't realize it. Quite one very large. Those are the old line tracks there. Yeah. Okay. So Andre spotted some old line tracks on the left-hand side. There we go. We shall no longer be causing a traffic jam. And yes, hooting to say thank you. It's a building crew by the looks of things. So maybe not quite up to speed with bush etiquette. A wave will suffice. Andre's got tracks. So either cubs or civet. Where are you looking, Andre?
Right on the edge of the road. We drove over most of them.
Well, I think I can see some civet tracks back there. We'll just go on a little bit. I think I see them up ahead. Yeah, civet. So we're going to let's have a quick look here now. So quite often civet tracks are quite round, which Andre is correct with there. Can you get them there? Okay. Now, even though these ones don't look particularly round, it can often be sandy substrate and stuff like that that can confuse you. But they're definitely not at leopard cub. I mean, Karula's cub's tracks would be triple that size by now almost. I mean, almost double that size. So a lot bigger. But the big trick with a civet track is if you take the backmost toes and you take a little stick or a piece of grass and you put it there on the edge of it, it always cuts that back pad and almost exactly halfway through the back pad. So on soft substrate, civet you can even see the claws, which is unusual on a civet track. So as the sand gets softer, we're going to start seeing a little bit more of that with certain tracks. Oh, flies are hot today. Unfortunately, no sign of Queen Karula just yet. Well, Henry Fan Addict would like to know how my hip is since the quarter zone shot. It is much better. I can make it through a game drive without eating a bunch of painkillers, so that's always probably a good thing. So it has made a big difference. Well, big thank you to Curious One, who says riding along with Brent in a full screen tracking is the most enjoyable safari. Well, thank you very much. As you know, I love tracking as well, so hopefully we get some nice fresh tracks to follow up on. So if we get no luck with Karula's tracks in this area, I'm going to wait for it to get a little bit darker and maybe go check the northern edge of Djuma for one of my favorite male leopards, Kajima. Or as I personally like to call him, the ghost from the north. So we don't have the traditional seasons as such as you do in the Northern Hemisphere. And James Dungan is wondering, do our tree leaves change color like in fall in the States? And you know, there's a combretum or bush willow that's changing color. So yes, they do, but probably not to the same degree and at the same time as in the States. So they do change, and the leaves do fall off. Well, certainly the terminalias and the bush willows. It also depends on how close they are, or how close they could be to underground water, whether those and when those leaves fall off. So, big hello to Miss Bowers and the third grade class from Glenwood Elementary. Hi guys, welcome on Safari. I hope you guys have got lots of questions ready for us as we explore the African bushveld with you. At the moment, just so you're caught up on what we're up to, we're busy searching for a female leopard. Without too much luck just yet. So we're about to approach a water hole now. It's still quite warm, so there's always a possibility there might be some animals around the water hole. Of course, except for today. It's a very muddy water hole. You can see it's drying up quite quickly as we head in towards the dry season. But like a lot of things out here in the bush, everything tells a story. So this waterhole is telling us a story about which animals have been here and how long ago they were here. So if we have a look, you can see there's something big been lying in the mud over here. And quite a lot of animals, big animals, like to sleep in the mud. And as they get covered in mud, and it helps them cool down. It also helps them get rid of all the ticks that get stuck on their body. But we can see there's been buffalo. You can see how brave I am. And there's certain spots you might just sink right into the mud. See how far I can push it. So even once this hole all dries over, and it'll look very dry, there'll be really soft mud underneath. And certain animals will even dig down into that mud, buffalo being one, warthog, elephants. One more step, I think I might be taking too far. Oh, no, that's too soft. You can see there's been some buffalo here. If we look a bit more close back here, we can see that there's soil starting to...
Your microphone, just turn your body.
Sorry? That there's bits of dry soil on top. So that means that wasn't from today. It was probably yesterday. So this isn't fresh, that the buffalo was sleeping here. But there's still lots of insects that are utilizing water. As I walk along the edge, I've spotted some butterflies. And even though this looked quite gross, for us, it'd still be really good water for most animals out here. And we can just have a look. You can see how there's just hundreds and hundreds of different animal footprints on the edge of the water. But not the leopard we're looking for. Hello, Stephen. Stephen would like to know, how long have I had this job for? Well, Stephen, I've been a presenter with Safari Live for the year in February, so March, April, May, so a year and 3 months. But I've been working in the bush since I was 18 years old, Stephen. But I lived in the bush before that, so I'm very lucky. But I do love my job. It's always a good thing when you love your job. Not too bad having to go on game drive for a job. So Hayden's wondering how many animals we see in a day. Well, Hayden, the thing about the bush is, it's not like a zoo. You can't guarantee you're going to see a lion, a leopard, an elephant. But we do see lots of different animals a day, and that changes every day. And I've just spotted something in the road. A nice big one as well. There we go. Now that is from a porcupine. I'm going to pop it on the dashboard for Jean, make it a little bit easier. Now, there's a big misconception that porcupines can shoot their quills out at animals that are trying to attack them. They can't. What they do is they turn their backs towards them and then try stab them. Now, we can't really see it here. You'd need a microscope to actually see, but there are micro barbs. So if any of you go fishing and you've got a hook and there's that little piece that sticks off the hook to help it not come out of the fish's mouth. So there's mini versions of that all along the edge of this porcupine. A big problem finding pens. So they actually used to make pens out of porcupine quills. Well, Charussi would like to know, do cheetah live all over Africa or only in certain places? Well, historically, they would have occurred over most of sub-Saharan Africa and most of Africa south of the Sahara and on the eastern side. They wouldn't have occurred in the west where the rainforest is. They're like semi-arid open or bushveld or open grassland. So they would have occurred, but now, unfortunately, there's just too many people, so the cheetah are now really only in major protected areas and national parks. Very similar to wolves and bears in America. Like, well, not Well, Noah would like to know what inspired me to start this show. Well, Noah, as much as I would love to take credit for it, it wasn't me. The people who started this show are our wonderful bosses, Graham and Emily. And they had the vision to see the potential of being able to take a safari live in the bush. And it's obviously very, very cool because some people might never get to Africa. So this is a way that we can share Africa with you every day. So Keely is wondering, how many predators do giraffe have since they are so tall? Well, Keely, they only really have one major predator outside of human beings, and that is the lions. The lions are quite good at catching giraffe. Very occasionally, hyenas or leopard might catch a baby giraffe, but if you're a big adult giraffe, the only animal you got to worry about is lions. Damari's asking, have I ever seen a lion in my lifetime? Well, Damari, I've been very lucky. I see lions quite a lot. I'd say probably on average we see lions 3 or 4 times a week. But I've seen lots of lions all over Africa. And unfortunately, this afternoon there are no lions in the area where we drive, but they are next door and there's no fence. So who knows, they might come back while we're on the drive today. Now, speaking about lions, there's a bunch of birds that like to follow lions about. And I'm just going to watch. They look like they're coming off the ground. So that's a bunch of vultures. There's a couple of different species there. White-backed, probably hooded, maybe a white-headed or a leopard-faced. But just because of the way they're circling there, I would say they've left something on the ground. And probably something that was killed by a lion. So what those vultures are doing now is going up. And because they're such big, heavy birds, you notice they're not flapping their wings at all. So what they do is they catch something called a thermal. And thermal is warm air rising off the ground. And to help them, because they're such big birds and they don't want to flap their wings because it makes them very tired, they use these warm air currents to go higher and higher. And if we go up from these guys, Jean-Ray, you can see there's some that have already risen way up above. And they're almost now little spots up in the sky. And once they get to a nice high spot, and if they want to change direction, they just sort of glide out till they hit the next thermal. Luke would like to know what's my favorite animal that I've ever seen. And Luke, for me, my favorite animal is the African wild dog. Isn't that incredible? So many vultures, unfortunately, wherever they've come from is to the south of our area. But we're going to carry on. Luke, the reason I love wild dogs so much is because they are very exciting and they're quite hyperactive, a bit like me. So I think I identify with them. They're also, they're just really exciting to watch. They're really fast moving and they run around all the time. We've been looking for a female leopard. I can't find any of her tracks. So we're going to move on to a new area. Maybe we can find some elephants or some giraffe, or hopefully any form of animal with a heartbeat. Now, Justin, speaking of giraffe, is wondering how heavy is a big adult giraffe. Now, Justin, I have to get out my little calculator machine here, because out here in Africa we use kilograms, and I think in America you use pounds, And the one thing I was not very good at school was maths. So the conversions are a little bit tricky for me. But they can get very, very heavy. I'll tell you exactly how much in pounds in about 2 seconds while it thinks. And there we go, we're getting there. But to give you an idea about its how much you think the whole giraffe weighs, there we go. There we go. About 4,500 pounds. So around 2,000 kilograms, 2 tons. And one of the most incredible things is that if you think about how big it is, how big its heart is. Now, a giraffe's heart weighs over 20 pounds. Jean-Ray spotted a hyena track, unfortunately. He got me excited, thought it was a leopard track. Now, a giraffe can also get to about 16 foot high. So really, really tall and really, really heavy. So Cameron's wondering, are leopard related to cheetahs? Very, very distantly. So they are part of the Felidae, or the cat family. So a leopard's about as closely related to a cheetah as a domestic house cat is to a lion. So they split quite a few millennia ago on the evolutionary tree. Cheetah is more closely related to the mountain lion or cougar that you get in America. So they're much more closely related than a leopard and a cheetah, for example. Now, so yeah, I thought I saw some leopard tracks to show you, but unfortunately they were just hyena. So Javon is wondering, how fast do cheetah run? They can run up to about 70 miles per hour, Javon, so very quick, about 120 kilometers an hour, and they are the fastest land mammal. Now, the fastest animal in the world is the peregrine falcon. Now, the peregrine falcon, the way it hunts, it closes its wings and it plummets to the ground. Dwarf mongoose. So, unfortunately, we can't show you any lions right now, but I can show you the smallest member of the carnivore family. There is one. And carnivore, obviously the meat-eating family. That is a dwarf mongoose. Very cool little critters. Now they hunt for insects and will even attack snakes and scorpions to eat. Michael was actually wondering what is the smallest animal, but I presume Michael means mammal, possibly. It'll be one of the little rodent species, Michael. So there's a little mouse that we get out here called the tiny fat mouse, which is probably one of the smallest mammals. And out of the meat-eating mammals, these guys are the smallest, the dwarf mongoose. Off he scurries. I'll let him carry on feeding. Oh, the guy's going to be on the game drive radio quickly. Austin, no updates. So, just to let you know what happens, we're not the only people who drive around this area. There's a bunch of other places, and we all have radios. So if anyone finds a lion or a leopard, or if I find a lion or a leopard, we call each other. So looking for animals is teamwork. It's not a solo game. So we all try to help each other to find as many animals as possible. So Stephen is mentioning the fact that I said the African wild dog is my favorite animal and is wondering if they have any predators. The biggest predator to wild dogs is lions. So lions will kill them if they come across them, and that is not to eat them normally, but it's to kill competition. So most predators will try to kill another predator if they get a chance to remove competition for the food resources in an area. So wild dog will try and kill cheetah, leopard, and a lion if they get the chance, a single lioness. Lions are obviously the biggest, and they will try to kill all of the other things, including hyenas. So very, very interesting that it's not about killing that other predator for food, but killing it to try and protect the food resource, so all the impala and zebra and other antelope we have here. Speaking about food, Gary's got a very interesting question, and Gary would like to know what animal is a lion's favorite food. Now, Gary, one thing you must remember about animals is it doesn't matter what we write in the book, what we think a lion's favorite food might be. The lion doesn't read the book, so it can change his mind. And why I'm saying that is, you must remember, a lot of animal behavior, so what the animals do, is area specific rather than species specific. So a lion here might have a different favorite food to a lion in Botswana or a lion in Tanzania. But I think with lions, on average, we can say one of their favorite foods is definitely buffalo. And I'm going to try to find you some buffalo now. Now, they're quite big animals and they can actually defend themselves quite well against lions. But the reason lions like it is because it's big, so they have a long-term food resource. They don't have to hunt again for quite a while because they can stay and eat that buffalo for 2 or 3 days. To give you an example, it'd be like us going to a fast food joint and buying a week's worth of hamburgers. So we eat as much as we can, get really full, and then go have a nap, and then come back and eat again as much as we can. And that's what a lion sees when it takes down a big animal like a buffalo or a giraffe or a hippo. So Justin would like to know, how fast can a leopard run? Well, Justin, a leopard is an ambush predator, so it tries to sneak as close as possible before using a very quick burst of speed. And a leopard does, at about the top speed, 24 meters per second, which is around 90 kilometers an hour. I'm not 100% sure what that is in miles. And it normally only uses that real top speed from about under 5 meters, so from under 16 feet. And it's incredibly fast. It'll cover that in no time, which gives whatever it's trying to catch almost a very little chance of being able to escape. Hi, Darius. Darius would like to know how much lions weigh. Well, a lioness, a female, she'll weigh up to, a really big one will be 150 kilograms, which I think, well, I'm trying to remember correctly, is around 300 pounds. Okay, don't run, it's going to run. Murphy's Law. And it's disappeared. There was a little antelope, oh, it's still there. Forward a skosh. Hiding behind the bush. Say when, Jean-Ray? Do you see where the quarry is? Just zoom in. And to the left. Sorry. Zoom, 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 zoom. There we go. Oh, it's disappearing there. There's a little duiker, which is a little type of antelope. And that is one of the female leopards in this area's favorite food. But we're going to try head up to a nice open area where hopefully we'll find a few more animals. And So, Darius, back to your question. So, if I remember correctly, I think that's around 300 pounds. My maths isn't great, I said. But a big male lion can weigh up to about 250 kilograms, which is probably just under 500, just under 500 pounds. They're very big animals. Marissa is wondering, are there any African animals that are venomous or have poison or venom in them? Yes, if I remember correctly, probably a lot more than you get in America. We've got lots of venomous snakes, spiders, scorpions, and but what else can you get? Insects. We've got lots of venomous creatures out here. But probably the most common of the venomous would be spiders. Lots of spiders, lots of different snake species. Not all of them are venomous though. We even have certain fish species that are venomous. Okay, we are coming out into a nice open area, and I'm hoping there's some animals here. It's been a bit quiet this afternoon. Looking across this open area, it doesn't look like there's anything here. Gary's wondering, how does a lion pull its claws? You spot something, John? Lutu. Lutu means nothing in Zulu, which is not a good thing when we're looking for animals. Gary is wondering, how does a lion pull its claws into its sheath? Well, the very same way that a domestic cat does, but I should, there we go, have a nice little diagram to show you how. So, which way must that good, John? Yep. So here we go. This is the claw mechanism in lion and leopard. And you can see what these little things are here are ligaments. So those little ligaments contract. So you can imagine if you feel the ligament in your finger, on your hand, so it contracts, so this like that. If you do that, it contracts and it pulls the claw back in. And then when they extend the ligament, it pushes the claw out. There we go. Good question, Gary. It's a good question because I had a picture to describe it nicely. But I can't believe there's so little animals out here today. So Caitlin is wondering, do we have any schools out here in Africa? We do, Caitlin. Unfortunately, we all had to go to school, even Jean-Andre. But we do have schools out here in Africa. Now, Alex has asked me a very difficult question. Alex would like to know what is my favorite cat. Now, Alex, I'd say outside of wild dogs, I just sort of like everything. Sorry, I just saw something a bit strange there. I do like all the big cats, lion, leopard. Oh, look at that. I wonder how that got you. So, out here in the bush, it's not always about all the animals. And since we can't find any, we're going to make it about the rocks. There we go. A nice pretty piece of pink quartz. Now, the trick is I need to find another piece of pink quartz. And if I hit them together, I can actually make a spark. But I've only seen one piece of quartz so far. So, very nice rock. Now, you definitely know I'm getting desperate for animals if I'm picking up rocks and playing with them. But hopefully our luck is about to change. I mean, I think we've seen one die here. And a dwarf mongoose. But we're going to another water hole now. Hopefully, there's a wild beast there. Animals! Yay! So we've got some wildebeest. Now, as I said, hopefully there's some wild beasts here. Now, wildebeest, is a wild beast. There it is. So even though it looks like it's related to the cows, it's not. It's an antelope. And this particular one is, these are blue wildebeest. And they really like the short grass plains. Elephants as well. Yay! We'll go get a bit closer to the elephants now. Let's go have a look at the elephants. And there also are some buffalo. So there we go. No animals to 3 different species in a second. Well, Gary's wondering what's the strongest animal in Africa. Gary, well, obviously, of course, apart from me, it is the African elephant. And we're going to go have a look at the strongest animal in Africa. Oh, it looks like they might be coming to drink. Vian is wondering about the rock, the quartz, and is it rare here? No, it's not. It's actually quite common. It's a little bit rare to find nice big pieces like this, but even this sand that we have here is made up mostly of quartz. But I think we have arrived at the best time because these elephants are about to come have a drink. Are they? Come this way to the water hole, little baby elephants and everyone. So we're just going to wait here next to the water hole and hope for them to come to us. We're going to sit with the buffalo. Hello, buffaloes. So the thing is, there's 2 water holes near here. So they might go to the other water hole, which will make me scoot around to there. There are the ellies. So if we come across to the left, there's a funny-looking buffalo. And there's been quite a lot of discussion about who he looks like. So apparently it was decided, and I'm sure a few of you guys will know who he looks like, but apparently this buffalo looks like Taylor Lautner from Twilight. I'm not quite sure who he is, but that's what I've been told. You see the little birds on his back. Those are called oxpeckers. So they are often on big animals, and what they do is they eat all the ticks and other parasites that are on them. So they often help the animals by trying to get rid of the ticks that are sucking their blood. But in some cases, they can also be a bit harmful to the animals. If they've got an open wound, they'll eat the blood straight from there. The elephants look like they're in 2 minds about what they want to do. Well, we'll have a close look at those ellies shortly, but till then, Malia is wondering what's the difference between a buffalo and a wildebeest. And there we have a buffalo. He's a very big animal, weighs about 1,000 pounds, and you can see that very distinct boss. And if we have a look at the wildebeest, you can see it's not nearly as thick and heavy and big. And one of the main differences is in the way they... Oh, bless you, wildebeest. There's one having a sneeze. And there's an inyala as well. So there we go. So from no animals, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 species in one spot. Right, there we go. Amelia, we're looking at that wildebeest in the front there. So one of the main differences between wildebeest and buffalo as well, apart from their quite different physical appearance, is that a wildebeest is what you call a very finite grazer. It's very picky about what it eats. It's a fussy eater. Whereas a buffalo is a bulk grazer and he just munches all the grass. But a wildebeest will pick between the different grass species for the nice, sweet-tasting ones. So Justin and Javon are wondering how heavy is an elephant. Well, if we look at an elephant cow like the one we've got over there, again, you guys are testing my math skills. So in kilograms, an elephant cow will weigh around a really big female. That one there probably weighs around 3,000 kilograms. I think that's around 6,000 pounds. But a big male can weigh over 10,000 pounds. I'm not sure exactly how much over 10,000 pounds, but I will. There we go. A female's around, see, there we go. I don't know how to do this stuff, the math stuff. So a big male elephant can be anything from 12 to 14,000 pounds in weight, and a big female will weigh about 8,000 pounds. And we can see a mom with a baby at the back there. Caitlin would like to know whether we are allowed to help the animals survive. Now, Caitlin, this could be quite difficult sometimes for a lot. Whoa, and then he fell out of my car. Land Rover doors are not very good. I'll fix it now. So Caitlin would like to know if we're allowed to help the animals survive. Now, a lot of people might find this a little bit disturbing and whatnot, but we don't. This is a wild system. It's about 11 million acres of unfenced African wilderness. So if the injury is natural, so if there's an injury from a lion on a buffalo or from another predator or from a fight, we don't interfere. We let nature take its course. So no, we don't help the animals unless it has been caused by a human being. Then we will help. But if it hasn't been caused by a human being, we won't. Closed door. I'm going to try to get a little bit closer to these ellies now. So Zion, while we make our way towards the elephants, Zion is wondering how many types of wildebeest are there. So in South Africa we have two, the blue and the black wildebeest. And then through the rest of Africa, most of the sort of wildebeest are a variation or subspecies of blue wildebeest. So two species. The black wildebeest lives high up on the high veld in the mountains. I'm trying to remember where my shortcut down the hill is. Someone blocked my shortcut. Looks like they did. We'll have to find a new one then. So Cameron's wondering how many babies can a wildebeest have. Cameron, wildebeest only generally have one baby at a time, but I heard a little bird tweeting in my ear, Cameron, who tells me it's your birthday. So happy birthday, Cameron, from all of us and all the animals out here in the bush. Holding on, Jean-Ray. There we go, down the steep hill. No problem. Hello, elephants. Stephen's wondering which is heavier, a buffalo or a wildebeest. Well, Stephen, it's definitely a buffalo, probably more than double the weight. But now, from something that's heavier to something that's heavier than both, this is a breeding herd of elephants, so made up of females and babies and sub-adults, and there come the babies. Look at them having a play. It looks like two little boys having a wrestle. Well, Justin is wondering how long does the show last for? Well, Justin, we're out here every day for 6 hours. 3 hours in the early morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. And those are the best times to see animals, and that's why we're out then. But for your school, I think it lasts 45 minutes, if I remember correctly. But you're always welcome to join us when you're not at school. And I'm sure your teacher can help you find it if you want to watch it at home. Javon would like to know, can a cheetah kill a lion? Very unlikely, Javon. And only if the cheetah maybe finds some baby lions. But even a sub-adult lion or a teenage lion would be too strong for a cheetah. Look at this. Hello, mister. Come and show us how strong and tough you are. This is very normal adolescent elephant behavior, and coming to check us out, getting a little bit more curious, giving us a sniff. See, putting the ears up, trying to pretend to be big and tough. It's like this. And quite often you'll see them do this even to wildebeest or buffalo, and they expect you to run away. So when you sit still like we do, they get a little bit confused. But just kick some more dust in our general direction. Maybe a head shake and a trumpet. No, not quite yet. So Hayden would like to know, which is heavier, a male elephant or a male buffalo? Well, Hayden, a male buffalo is probably around 1,000 pounds. A male elephant can be up to 14,000 pounds. So definitely a male elephant. A female elephant is even heavier than a male buffalo. Female elephant can weigh up to 9,000 pounds. So quite a lot bigger than the 1,000-pound buffalo. Hello, little one. That one's probably, it's under a year old, and you can tell that because it can still fit under its mom's tummy. To be able to feed between her chest, it'll still be able to fit in there, which generally means it's about a year old, or maybe just, or very close to a year old, that little guy. Zion's wondering how many different types of animals are there in South Africa. There are a lot. Mammals, if I remember correctly, just in our area we've got about 78 different mammal species. It's probably close to 150 for the whole country. And when you say animals, it makes life quite difficult because that includes all the birds, all the bugs, all the snakes, all the tortoises. So there are a lot. So Cameron says, thanks for the birthday shout out. My pleasure, Cameron. And don't forget to join us on another safari. But goodbye to Mrs. Bauer's third grade class. And hopefully we'll see you soon. But let's have one last look at those elephants before you love us and leave us. Welcome back, everyone, and hopefully you did stay with us for the school drive, although it was a bit quiet at times, but at least there's a lovely little breeding herd of elephants in front of Vuyatela Lodge. Look at those little ones, aren't they just the sweetest? Quite nice to just sit quietly and enjoy these ellies for a little bit. Such a peaceful scene. Look at those two little babies. Rolling around. They're playing much better against one of the juveniles. Wild Earth Gertie says, it's so interesting how they're protecting the baby. I don't think they're corralling around the babies there. I think the babies are playing in the shade. Look at that on his tummy. So, of course, as elephants get older, it's very difficult for them to play like that because that huge bulk to be able to lift. So you only really see them rolling around properly like that as little ones. Look at them, they're really getting stuck into that little thicket there. Straight through the middle. Andy's wondering, oh, look at him go, charge, charge. When do baby ellies stop? Oh, look at that. Lovely light. Stop feeding off milk and start going solely to solids. So they'll feed off milk till they're about 2 years old, and then after that they're weaned. But they will start feeding on solids regularly on solids from about a year old. Very, very peaceful. I'm always hoping they're going to head for a drink, but it looks like they're not too interested. They're just happily playing around with the dust, and looks like picking up a few different little plant species in the short grass. Oh, what are you up to there? Looks like those little guys were about to do something naughty. There we go. Imagine if you were staying in Vuyatela Room 1. Wouldn't that be lovely? You could sit on your deck and watch the elephants. You wouldn't even have to go on game drive. Look at the guy on the left there, having a scratch against the dead tree. He's off on a mission, John. Look at him go. Where are you off to, mister? Come charging back. Yes, we are. Charge! Oh, such wonderful animals. A very nice, relaxed herd. Lynn says she loves watching Ellies. They are always up to something. That is very true, Lynn. They are fascinating creatures to watch. So while these elephants move off up the drainage line towards Vuyatela camp, we're going to move on. And while we do that, Sam and Dave are finally out in the other vehicle. Hopefully their tech problems are all sorted. So we'll see you a little later.
2, 1, you are live.
We are here. We are finally out of the camp. We had some problems with Rusty, our vehicle, who literally couldn't get going. Basically the water cooler in the front there broke. There's a hole in it, and we had to basically shift everything from there onto our vehicle, and now we're out. So this afternoon we've still got an hour and a half left. You've got Dave behind camera, you've got Sam as your presenter this afternoon, and we're going to be starting off with a few buffalo bulls just outside camp. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4 dagger boys that are just sitting to the right of us here. So thank you, Brent, for holding the show until we came out. It's always quite tiring going out for a whole hour. So hopefully we'll be able to take some time. It's beautiful. These dagger boys have been sitting just outside camp for the last, I'd say, pretty much the whole day. So all the girls from FC have had to be picked up and taken out because they do have a little bit of a threat to us out here. But here we go. Let's leave the camp. We've seen the 4. We know where those 4 buffalo bulls are now. We're going to head in this direction. We don't know what we're going to see this afternoon. It just feels nice to be out. Sean, aged 5, is asking, do the deer and the antelope ever fight each other? No, there's no deer here, so we call them antelope. They don't fight and kill well, sometimes they'll kill each other. Sometimes when the antelope are fighting for dominance and territory, they can kill each other. So the antelopes can be fierce, and that's with the impala ram. So hopefully we might be able to show you some antelope in the next while. We've just seen some buffaloes. Let's see if we can find you an impala. So, you know the difference between antelope and deer? Antelopes are the species that we get here in in Africa, and deer is your antelopes. Well, they look like antelopes, but they're from the Americas. And from what I understand is that the deer actually has is stuck to their skull. So from what I understand is the deer, their horns are actually stuck to their skull. So we don't get any deer here in South Africa. When I was in England last year, I was looking for roe deer. Every now and then I would go looking for roe deer. Just need to put something in here. Alright, I'm going to have to do that a bit later. It's just, when you go onto a new vehicle, there's just a few things that you've got to patch up. Not used to, we haven't driven Wendy for over a week and a half, so there's just a few rusty parts to it at the moment. Let's actually go down Philippon's Dip. Let's go and see what's going on the southern regions of our reserve. This is new. I haven't seen this before. This must be to stop people driving off the side here. So I'm not sure what you've seen this afternoon. Pamela would like to know, what time does it get dark here in the Sabi Sands? So it should get dark probably around 6, just as the show is finishing, 5:30, 6. So we've probably got an hour left of light, and then it'll start getting quite dark. It'll actually be quite dark enough for us to be able to see the stars. So hopefully we can do some stars for you this evening if you're quite interested in seeing them. The moon's out at the moment. Have a look at the moon during the day. It's very, very cool. That is the moon. You can just see the bunny ears of the rabbit that you can see in the moon. It's very, very cool to see the moon during the day here out in the bush. And the moon is at the moment waxing, which means it's getting bigger than what it was, which means it's growing towards the full moon. So that moon is starting to be quite bright. It's lighting up the bush a little bit than it was a couple days ago. So I'm quite excited. I've got my birthday tomorrow, and I'm quite excited to see if I can see a leopard the day before my birthday. Dale would like to know how my headache's going. Well, Dale, it was quite tough yesterday. Well, they've got some tracks here. I just want to see what they are. They look like there's some hyena tracks just going down the side here. Could very well be leopard, though. They've just moved off, though. They've just moved off. So my headache was terrible last night. I mean, after that live talk that we had, I then went to sleep pretty much straight after that, and then I took a painkiller because it was getting quite sore. And then, you know, when you just feel like you can't wake up properly when you've had a huge headache. So that's how I felt on this morning's drive. I couldn't really. It was just sore, you know. It's still that aftermath of a headache. So I'm feeling much better now, Dale. Thank you very much. I'll feel even better if we stumble across something magical out here in the bush today. So nice to be out here. The light is getting to that perfect color of the late afternoon. And potentially what we're going to do is we're going to do a loop just to see if there isn't anything here at Treehouse Dam, and then go down onto the boundary line to see if anything's crossed, because this morning myself and VM tracked the Mangeni Pride just by the gate, which was quite exciting to see. We only saw one lioness. It was straight, as drive started, we came across those lines. Very, very exciting. So we'll go and see if those tracks have crossed back onto our property. If not, we'll make our way round to Sydney's and then to those hyenas. So maybe the hyenas will show us some activity this evening. Who knows? Brian from Toronto would like to know, do predators eat other predators sometimes. Yes, in fact they do, especially when things are quite tough out here during droughts, but also there's a lot of competition out here in the bush for prey, and some of the predators have the same prey, such as the antelope that we've got out here. And so when a lion comes across a leopard, it wouldn't be scared to kill it. Same with that as a cheetah. A leopard will also kill a cheetah. Actually, was reading in a book the other day that they found a cheetah up a tree that had been killed by a leopard, and they didn't, in that certain case, they didn't actually eat the whole kill. They just ate some of it and then they left it. But they will kill a cat when they can, because that'll remove the different predators and the competition from that cat. Okay, let's have a look. Let's go down Shabam Road. So we did a little dance yesterday. Well, I tried to do a dance for the rain, and it didn't really rain. It didn't rain, which was quite sad. I really hoped it even would spit something. But to be honest, I don't think my dance was elaborate enough. I was quite nervous, and I just went out there and did a handstand. So I think I could have done a little bit more of a rain dance than that. So the next time when we think I see some thick clouds in this distance, I will make a much more concerted effort to try and bring the rains to Djuma. So we got quite a lot of elephant tracks and dung around here. We might just come across some elephants. So I heard that you were with some elephants with Brent. So we're going to take this road round. So I did a bit of research today on some of the questions that were posted. And I know that, I think it was James Richard and everyone, we spoke about the tracks. It was the aardvark tracks and the aardvark track and the mountain zebra track. And so what I did was I've got my page, which is on Facebook. It's called Rewild, REWILD. And you can go to that page, and what I've done there is I've posted a number of the different tracks that you get out here, as well as also identifying different types of plant species, just to help anyone that would like to when you're on drive and you want to see a track that we're looking for. So we're saying we're on lion tracks, and I say I found a lion track. You can actually go to that page and you can see, look, that's what a lion track looks like when we are tracking them. So it can bring you a little bit more into the experience of tracking a lion, a leopard, and anything like that. Let's go and chat to Brent and see how he's doing.
Welcome back, everyone. So I'm just trying to get an update on the game drive here quickly. Oh, sorry, what did you have close to? Okay, well, Aubrey's obviously talking to his guests. I'll wait for him to finish before I bother him. So, yeah, back with me. So, Jean and I were actually just discussing where to go check next. And we have definitely covered the south and west extensively. And we can say that there are 2 dwarf mongoose at least, and 1 grey duiker. So, we're definitely not going to be making our way back down there again. So, I think we're now trying to decide whether to head up and maybe across to Arathusa, or to go check around Buffalo's Hook waterhole to see if there's that slight chance we might find Gajima. So why don't you guys let us know what you think we should do? Should we head to the west, or should we head to the east? You let us know and we'll find something in the meantime while we try and make up that. While you guys try and let us know which you would prefer. Hi, Tony. Tony's wondering about that monster flock of vultures we saw earlier, and how I was able to tell that they were coming off the ground rather than looking for something to eat. Oh dear, every time I decide to start talking, I need to sneeze. Oh, wait, I knew he was going to zoom in. Okay, I'm going to think my sneeze away. Okay. John Ray's trying to now flick dust at me to make me sneeze. So, Tony, so they were coming up and they were getting into those thermals and going higher. When a vulture sees something on the ground, it literally almost folds its wings in and they plummet at a really, really steep angle. So when they're going in those big arches like that, they're heading up and probably heading off the ground somewhere. Now, we're probably sitting in one of the most green places at Djuma at the moment. And if we have a look around here, you can just see that there's still, just make sure there's no buffalo after the green grass, but you can see the grass here is still quite green. And if I pick a piece, I think it's going to be the same as we've experienced. Not sweet at all. Because of that late rain, the growing season didn't really get a chance to let the grasses produce enough carbohydrates. So even though we are seeing quite a bit of grass, and we saw a bit of grass, there's very little nutrients in it for the animals. But this will be one of the spots that's going to hold green grass and that little bit of extra nutrients for quite a while. So we're sitting at the head of what will become the Mwati River. So very, very small here, and we're quite far from the crest of the hill. So all the water is naturally moving under the ground here. And that's why even grass species that don't have very deep root systems are able to still be green in this little spot. And if we look around carefully, Jean-Dre, you see that there, Jean-Dre? There's even the odd little flower. And there we go, there's a little Waltharia here. And flapping around that Waltharia, please land again, is a tiny little blue butterfly. Now, which exact blue is near impossible to tell. Well, he's gone. There we go. So there's still a little flower or two around down here, and there's still some green grass. So it wouldn't be surprising to see certain species like warthog and buffalo, and possibly even zebra, utilizing the top edges of these little river systems now before it gets even more dry. Oh, and impala, of course. I actually have seen impala in this dip already. Aha! Something to play with after dark, since we picked up a nice big piece of quartz. Now, to try and show you that you can make a spark, we're going to need a second piece of quartz. And I saw some over there. Not the biggest pieces, but hopefully this one should be able to, we should be able to strike a spark. Now, it's not really too much of a big spark. You can smell, it smells a bit like, almost like gunpowder when you do it, but you're going to very much struggle to sort of start a fire with the spark from that, even with gasoline. I have tried as a young boy, as with most young boys, absolute fascination with fire. Okay, so general consensus is we're going to go west towards Arathusa. So while we make our way there, let's go to Sam, and hopefully he's managed to fix his comms issues, and let's see what he's up to.
So you're back with Dave and Sam and Elvis the Ellie, and we are now coming towards a treehouse dam. It's been quite an interesting afternoon out here in the bush. I haven't actually seen an animal yet except for those big buffaloes, and I'm hoping that maybe we can find some elephants. I was told there were quite a few elephants around. I know that you were with some elephants with Brent, but at the moment we can't find any tracks, and I would love to find some elephants, or even a bird, plants, whatever's out there this afternoon. So we're coming very, very close to the Treehouse Dam. There it is in the distance. So I'm not sure who's been here today. It doesn't look like anyone's driven these tracks, this area. So this could be the first ones coming to Treehouse Dam. It's looking rather empty. And potentially there are some elephants that might come and drink just now. Sid would like to know, what is the difference between a jackal and an impala? Well, a jackal it almost looks like, and you get a jackal, it almost looks like a fox. It's in the same sort of category as a fox. And an impala has horns. So you'll see quite clearly the difference between an impala and a jackal. It's almost like, I mean, the closest thing could be like a dog almost. But it's not. It's in the Canidae family, but it looks quite similar to that of a dog with long ears. So it has longish ears. I haven't actually seen a jackal since I've been here. I've seen jackals before often, and they're very, very, very cool animals to see. But I haven't seen one, and hopefully we can find one sometime soon. I'd really like to see a jackal soon, and an antelope. Well, let's see if we can find an antelope, and I can quite clearly show you the difference between that and a jackal. I'll get my jackal picture out of the book, and we can have a look at the antelope, and I'll make quite a clear reference to the difference between the two. They also have very different foot structures. So I'll show you that, the foot structures. One's got feet with some toes, pad and toes, and the other's just got two hoofs. So we'll show you a picture of that when we see them. We often see impala, so I'm going to see if I can see one sitting in the thicket anywhere around here. This is in Karula's territory as well, so we are driving through both Tingana and Karula's territory, which are two leopards that we get in this area. And I'm just also looking and paying attention for any tracks that might be present around here this afternoon. I actually went with Brent just a couple of weeks ago. We were tracking Karula all the way through this thicket. And it's incredible, it's so incredible tracking an animal on foot. To pay attention to all the noise and everything that's around you. Wow! Have a look at this spider web in this tree. There's also an elephant here. But just while we sit with this spider web in the tree, you can see that there's something that's stuck in there. It's a little fly that's actually stuck in there. If you can see it, it's actually trying to get out. It's crawling out. I'll point it out here. Oh, it must have just got out. It was there. But how incredible is this spider's nest? So this is part of a community spider nest. So there's a number of spiders that will live in there. And it looks really, really cool in this old buffalo thorn. Can you see how thick those webs are? So it doesn't look like it's an active community spider nest. That is very, very cool. I'm going to see if I can find you one that actually has the spiders that are lurking around it. But we've just also caught wind of some elephants. So just as I stop the car, have a listen to the different sounds that are happening. There's an elephant that is just behind that tree there. I think there might just be a few of them there. So that's the sound I just heard as I was coming through here. Let's go a little bit closer. You can see trees are really moving around there. Liam from France would like to know, are elephants territorial? So the answer to that is, let's just get in a position where we can have a good view of these elephants. There's one straight through there. It's a beautiful elephant. Look at the size. Look at the tusks on this elephant. So are elephants territorial? No, so they're not territorial. The matriarch, which is the mother of the group, will lead the elephants in a certain direction towards water and food and browsing. And they don't normally go further than 80 kilometers away from water. And so they'll just move around in their family groups towards the different water holes that they might drink, and then graze and feed, browse and feed around those watering holes. So they move great distances around. They have huge home ranges. So we might just be experiencing a number of new elephants as the dry conditions continue into the winter season that's about to start. So autumn's upon us and all the leaves are going to be falling off the tree, creating nutrition into the ground, but that's going to create quite a bare looking atmosphere out here. And that's going to bring quite a lot of new elephants. Well, not only that, there's not going to be a lot of water, and there's quite a high water content where we are at the moment, so that might bring quite a few new eddies to this area. But this is not the only elephant here. There's another really, really big elephant. You can't see it right now. I'll show you. Look at, you can see him. Could be a lady. This could be a lady over here, and you can see how she's wrapping that trunk around some bushes. Beautiful, look at her. She's got a little cut on her trunk there. Maggie from Australia would like to know, how long does it take a young elephant to learn how to use its trunk? Well, Maggie, it takes a different time with each of them. It could take up to a year, even 2 years, where you'll see that the young elephant will be playing with its trumpet, throwing it around. Sometimes they stand on their own trunks, and it's quite a sight to see when you see a young elephant moving around. Really, it's so cool to see that. But it can take them up to, from what I've seen, up to around 2 years until they really get the grip of their trunks and understand how to really be dexterous and move it around. But of course, every single situation with every elephant's different. As we learn differently, each of us individuals learns in a very different way, and much do elephants. So let's go and have a look at the other elephants that are here. There's one there. There's another one just over here. You can hear them. There's quite a few of them. I think there's a youngster there as well. You look through that thicket. So there are just two more just that are in that thicket there that are feeding. And I think I just saw a young one moving around. So I'm just going to see if I can see that young one again, and then we can see what the young ones are like when they're using their trunks. But look how big that elephant there is, and he actually, doesn't stick out right away. When walking in the bush, you have to be so aware of elephants. And you must listen to the sound of a branch breaking. You can see that elephant's flapping its ears. So often elephants will flap their ears to try and cool themselves down. It's a way of regulating their temperature. Okay, awesome. It looks like that one over there is just coming through the bushes there. So there's one just behind us there. I think that we should be patient because I think these elephants are going to start moving in a direction towards us. It seems like it's quite a large herd. I'm seeing elephants all the way up there as well. So there's a good chance that all these elephants are going to walk past our vehicle now, and it's going to be so exciting. Mandy would like to know, what is my favorite animal outside of Africa? I'm just going to move. I'm going to stay here. Let's talk about this while we wait for these elephants to come. My favorite animal outside of Africa, you know, I've got a huge fondness for eagles, and I love all sorts of eagles, and I'd love to see a bald eagle, as well as a golden eagle, as well as an osprey from Wales. I'd so truly love to see an osprey. I've always loved eagles, and I think that's just because of an encounter that I had when I was working in the Cederberg Mountains, and I was watching Eva roe eagle, the black eagle. Such an incredible eagle to watch, and I watched it rear a young underneath the thicket there. And I was doing a biodiversity count there of black eagles. So I love eagles so much, and the opportunity to go and travel the world and see some of those eagles in the different countries, as well as the main predators that influence those ecosystems, such as wolves. I'd love to see a wolf so badly. And I've seen a jaguar before, which was incredible, which was in South America. I actually watched the jaguar swimming through a river, which was very cool to see that. I was very privileged to be able to see that and have that opportunity. Yes, it would be eagles. What is yours? What would you guys like to see outside of Africa? I'd like to know what your comments would be. Maybe that'll spur my curiosity to go and see more, but let's just see what these elephants are doing here. They all look quite calm, as if they're not moving much out of their places. It's a very, very thick bush where we can't see much of them. I think if I go a little bit forward, you can just see the one in the distance there. Chris Rogue, you are touching on a subject that I really, really think is interesting, which is basically the memory of elephants. So these elephants are getting closer. So keep asking questions while we wait for these elephants. Do elephants have memory? Well, do they know, you're asking Chris if they know the watering holes and the food areas that they've been to. So yes, I do believe that they have got memory, and that the matriarch, that's why the matriarch has seen and been to many different places that was taught to her by the other matriarch. And through that experience of memory of the landscape and the memory of also the other predators that are in the area, and just everything that it means to be an elephant out there is huge. So the memory is strong with an elephant, and that will be passed down from matriarch to matriarch. That will send them to adapt in these conditions the best as possible. And I was telling a story the other day about how, even with humans, there was this story about how the hunter, this young, really, really keen hunter, I read this in a folk tale about the bushman, and how this young hunter was so keen to go out there and find an elephant and bring some meat back to his community because they were really hungry, and the elephant would provide so much meat to that community. And so the elder in the community said, I think that you should never ever show an elephant that you're trying to kill it and it tries to get away, because it'll never forget you. So what they used to do is they used to dig holes in the ground so that an elephant would fall, and that fall would kill the elephant. Wow. Isn't that magical, that sound? And so, just while I'm talking about the story, have a look at this elephant that's come closer to us. And so the elephant, one day the young hunter went out to go and hunt, and they were digging a hole in the ground, but the young hunter got so enthusiastic that after the tribe went back to their community, the young hunter went out and threw its spear at an elephant as if to try and... Wow! Did you see that elephant just moved a whole tree? That was so cool to see that. Jeez, that's how strong they can get. Or whether or not to go back to that story. What else is going to happen? So she's really lifting stuff up. I can see quite a lot, and I know the camera can't, so I'm going to go a little bit more forward. Here we go. Potentially this elephant might move that trunk again, and that would be an epic thing to see this afternoon. But there are so many elephants behind these elephants, I can't really show you through this thicket, so we're just going to sit with them for a bit longer. And just going back to that story, so the young hunter threw the spear at the elephant, and when they threw the spear at the elephant saw that young boy, and the young boy ran away, but the elephant wasn't killed. And so what happened then is many years later, when the old man, well, the boy had turned into an old man, and the elephant became into a wise old matriarch, she came across this man again, and she never forgot that face. And she ran over to this old man. She wrapped her trunk around him and placed him on the highest point she could on a jackalberry tree, and left him up there for at least 3 or 4 days until the community found him sitting up a tree. So there's an elephant there, she's just crossing now. So that's the first elephant to cross us this afternoon. Behind us, beautiful. So that's just a story on how the elephant never forgets. Mandy, thanks for responding to my question around what would your favorite animal would be to see, and that's a dolphin. Dolphins are incredible animals. I've had a couple opportunities in my life to be able to see many dolphins. When I was a young boy, my dad used to take us canoeing out at one of the beaches in South Africa, and we would see dolphins jumping in front of us. So I've had some very lucky opportunities with dolphins. So here you can see this elephant is moving everything around with its trunk and its foot. So you can really see how an elephant needs its trunk for not only picking up grasses, as you just saw there, picking up a grass. You can't quite see her with her trunk now. But they use it to move over trees and push over things and collect food from the top of the tree. So they really do use their trunks a lot. Wow, so they're getting a little bit closer. Frank just asked a very good question around what is the mortality rates around elephants at birth. You know, I've never looked into that and how many elephants actually die at birth. But I'm sure compared to most of the other animals, the elephant is actually has a much higher consistency of having that child, because they have a lot of protection from the parents. But that would be a fascinating thing to look up. I'll have a look and see what the mortality rate is with young elephants. And you can see this is a female over here. That's right in front of us. See her mammary glands, as well as those smaller trunks, or the smaller tusks in front of her there. And she's got quite a dome look on top of her there. So on top of her head there, you can see how it jots out just a little bit there, and that will tell us that she is a female. And also, those tusks give it away. They're quite thin compared to that of a male. Wow, but she really is a beautiful female. So if you look around us now, they're starting to come a little bit closer to us. So we've been quite patient with them. Here comes the smaller one. I told you that there was a smaller one. I saw it, so now we're going to be able to see a much better description of how a young elephant might use its trunk. So it's in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little bit. To be honest, I think that young elephant will make its way here, and I don't want to make it nervous because my car is there. At the moment, we look quite discreet. So there is a young elephant. Just have to be patient to let that young little elephant come out and show itself. There we go. So that's one of the elephants that Dave has managed to see, of the young ones. Look at it using its trunk. Kelly would like to know, is the male or the female elephant the one I like to observe more? It's a great question, you know, Kelly. I like to sit with any elephants. Elephants are a kind of animal that just bring a really good ambience about them. And both of them, both the male and the female, provide that kind of experience. And I think, you know what's really interesting? There's a big elephant bull that's going through Mus. It is quite fascinating to understand their behavior, because they've got quite a few hormones that are going off at that stage. There's the young Ellie. And you have to be very, very careful, and you have to be very present when not only walking in the bush, but driving in your vehicle. So coming up to a big male bull who's huge, who's quite a lot larger than that of a female, who has really big tusks, is always quite an intimidating experience, Kelly. I just get a really big thrill when I'm with a very, very big elephant. There we go, so we're starting to see a little bit more of these ellies. I'm just going to go a little bit forward, not much. There's a youngster that's right here. Just going to position us so that we can really see them well. I'm going to go a little bit more forward, and that'll give us a little bit more space to see a few more elephants. There we go. Safari fan addict is asking whether the one of the tusks of the females that we were looking at earlier had quite almost like an indent that was going outwards, that would basically asking, would it interfere with the mobility of the trunk? Well, you know, not that I don't think so. I really don't think it would. You know, those trunks can really get out and move in any direction. It would just be about how the elephant moves its head. So it can get a little bit lower and be able to get to an angle that will be able to wrap around and do whatever it needs to with its trunk. But to be honest, I don't know what it's like to be an ellie with two tusks coming out in a difficult position. I don't know what it must be like. Potentially it could be quite difficult for them. But that's a good observation. Can you hear that? That's the sound of the elephant really moving a tree there. So that was that elephant just over there. This is a massive breeding herd. Laura from Pennsylvania says that she would love to see a polar bear in the wild. Wow, Laura, it depends on how you would be viewing. So I think there's a vehicle coming behind me. Okay, with a polar bear, you know, if you're on foot and you're traveling around looking at a polar bear on foot, that would be so scary, because they're really not used to humans on foot. So you'd have to be so super careful when you came across a polar bear. I would also love to see a polar bear there, Laura. Wow, there's a whole tree going. One's just pushing down branches to the left here. We can't quite see that one. I'm just going to move a little bit more forward just to see that one. There we go, you've got a really nice frontal picture of that one in the distance there. So it's a really large group. And I wonder where the matriarch is. Interesting to see where the matriarch is and what direction she's heading in, because she'll be leading the breeding herd and taking them in different directions. You can see there's quite a little bit of quite a secretion over there, coming out of these elephants. Just the right, it must be their glands there. So I think it's a young female, this one over here. Yes, I think it is a young female. You can quite clearly see the dome on top of her head there. Yes. Have a look at this elephant that's right close to us now. You can quite see it eating. Tim from Brazil. How are you doing, Tim from Brazil? I love Brazil. I spent quite a few months there last year. I'm just trying to remember a word. Muito bom. Muito bom. I think that means very good. You're asking, are elephants really afraid of mice, and do they like peanuts? Well, Tim, you know, I've never seen an elephant be scared of a mouse. I think I've heard it can be true, but until I see an elephant running away from a mouse, then I shall believe that. And eating peanuts, I also have never seen that before, Tim. So those are two experiences I've never had. I used to love, Brazil was such a great time in my life learning that language, and I've lost a lot of the language that I learned there. I remember abraço, which I think means hugs. And obrigado means thank you. So this is a beautiful little young, actually it's a male, so you can quite clearly see it's a male. It is a male. I thought it was because you could see quite a dome on top of the head there. But when looking at the genitalia, you can see that it is a male. And you can see that just looking at his tusks, they will get a lot bigger as he gets older. But here, we can see quite clearly his trunk. Look how he's using his trunk, and it's very, very dexterous how he can wrap that trunk around some grass and pull it towards his mouth. Look at that, isn't that incredible? I often imagine what it would like to have a nice long nose like this. When I say I often think about it, I don't actually think about it that often. Beautiful. So these elephants have probably been down by twin dams, and the young one is just in the distance there, so we can't quite see the young one at the moment. But if we be patient, we might get that young one close by and we can really observe. Wow. There is a huge elephant that's just down there. I don't know if you heard that. Let's just go in this direction a bit. I've just heard a really, really big sound. So Brent's just found some vultures. Let's go and see how he's doing. There we go. So 3 white-backed vultures and a single lappet-faced vulture right up at the top. Now, 4 vultures isn't enough reason to get too excited, but the fact that the lappet-faced here could be a little bit more exciting. Hello.
Hello, guys.
So we're definitely going to have a look. Those vultures are currently in Buffel's Hook, but that doesn't mean there might not be a carcass close by. So vultures will land in the easiest dead tree close to a carcass, especially if there's a predator on the ground. So there might be something around, and if they're full, they might head towards Buffel's Hook Dam for a drink. You see those 3 ones lower down, are smaller, and the white-backed vultures, you can see how big and massive that lappet-faced vulture's beak is. I think we should go for a sneak peek at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole. Maybe something's there. Keep a careful lookout. You never know what might be around. And I'm just going to make Jean-Ray very happy again quickly, because I'm going to put the vultures in even a prettier sky. Now, a little bit less exciting is that there's some vultures further to the north. Oh, no, I need to move the fan. Now, that's not as... So when, Jean-Ray? Serial out. So there we go. Now, if you look beyond those vultures in the marula tree in the distance, there's another lappet-faced vulture and another white-backed vulture. So, unfortunately, that means that if there is a kill, it's going to be further into Buffalo's Hook. But that doesn't stop whatever has been eating it to go for a drink at Buffalo's Hook Dam. So I think we're going to stick with our initial plan and head towards the Buffalo's Hook waterhole for a quick squeeze. So Anne's wondering how often vultures breed. Well, Anne, they will try raise a chick a year. Now, of course, with a lot of things out in the bush, there are mortalities. I'm not 100% sure how successful they are, but I would say they're reasonably successful. The biggest threats to vultures at the moment is actually poisoning of carcasses that they come feed on. Sometimes the carcasses are poisoned in the communities in case a predator, oh my goodness, there we go, like a lion or a leopard might have killed it. So they're poisoned to try to kill the predator that has killed the livestock. But then it obviously affects everything else that might try to feed on it. Wonderful winter sunsets. So the drier it gets, the more dust in the atmosphere, the more spectacular the sunsets become. Blue butterfrog is wondering, do vultures ever attack an animal or do they just scavenge? So they have been known, white-backed, lappet-faced and white-headed have been known to attack very weak and injured animals, but it is unusual. Normally they stick to scavenging. Well, let's hope whatever they are attempting to scavenge off has decided to head to Buffalo's Hook waterhole for a drink. And if not, it's definitely a good spot to check tomorrow morning. Oh, we have the leaning terminalia of Buffalo's Hook. It's obviously been bent over by an elephant, and we're going to pass underneath it safely, Jean-Ray. Oh, just. So while we go check if there's anything happening at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, Let's go back to Samwise and the elephants.
So we are about to head off towards the hyena den, but I just wanted to give you a kind of look at the size of this breeding herd. We've already we drove about 200 meters there, and we've come across more elephants. And you can see there's a young one here, and this young one is using his trunk, and he looks like he or she, can't tell, but is using their trunk quite well to feed. And so we've just come across a huge breeding herd of elephants, and it's been such a fantastic afternoon. We were really, really patient with them as they came closer and closer towards us, and now we're sitting with two really, really young ones. And this is something that doesn't happen often. But whoa. There's another really, really small one that's just coming into frame as well. And then there's the sound of an elephant that sounds like it's taking down a tree. It's incredible to hear these sounds that these elephants can make. Wow, that was really, really cool to hear that. So it's been such a pleasure to sit with these elephants, but we're going to go through to the hyenas now just to see if there is potentially something that might be happening there. It's just so sweet to be with these little ladies, though. It's so difficult to leave them. Very, very sweet. I'm going to leave them to graze and browse as they will. It's been really, really nice to be with all of them, but there are so many here. They're going to be coming all the way up here towards Treehouse Dam. And there's one over there that's already quite deep in the thicket there. Do you know what would be quite interesting? What we're going to do now is actually drive just to the east of or to the west of this, because often when these big breeding herds of elephants walk in this area, they will flush out some of the animals that might be lurking in those bushes, such as even leopards and smaller cats that might be lurking in there. And if we sit on the other side of them, maybe we'll see something that jumps out. But I think we should go to the hyena den. So we'll drive in that direction and see if we can see anything. There's another elephant there. There's another elephant there. We must be in the biggest breeding herd in the Sabi Sands. Wow. Another two small ones just down there. Beautiful. Can't go anywhere now because this elephant's just about to cross over the road. So they don't want us to leave just yet. Maybe if I go quite slowly. Wow. Beautiful. There goes a nice big elephant. Let's just give you some time to cross over. Beautiful. And if we just move towards this elephant that's going to be walking off in this direction. There we go. You can just see the other elephant over there. I'm just looking in the distance now to see if there's any more elephants that are coming back down the road. There's a couple more. There's about 3 or 4 that are coming back. So this looks like a female here. So this looks like another female just in front of screen. I can't believe how close they've got to us this afternoon. It's been incredible. And they really, really don't want us to leave. There she is. So I think it's safe now for us to move a little bit slower, and then we can head towards the hyena den. Hello. Look at her. Look at the foot structure over there. A hind foot in the background and the foreground. You can see those nails just in front there. Beautiful. You just can't leave elephants when they just get so close to you like this. It's just too beautiful to pass up. Really means a lot when elephants come close to your vehicle. So she's a beautiful female. And so there is quite a rich smell that's coming out from these ellies. So you can definitely smell some bulls that are on must at the moment in this group. You can smell the dung that they've been dropping on the floor. There's quite a lot of dung around here, as you can imagine. They just browse and graze all day, so they must use the toilet quite a lot. So there is quite a strong smell of elephants, but this is just so great. Look how close she's getting to us. You can quite clearly see now that dome type look on the top of the head. See what she did there? So well. She's got a lot of practice in grazing and browsing. And look at that skin, it's just incredible. You can see quite a bit of dust on top of her. So she would have been sucking up some of the dust and throwing it on her back. Look at that, great filming from Dave. It almost looks like almost waterways on her back there. Like a whole river system. So their skin is very, very thick, and that is why you don't see, well, that's why you don't see many oxpeckers on them, because the oxpeckers, there's not much ticks to eat off them because their skin is just too thick. So I think that this elephant was making a quite an interesting noise. See if I can hear it again. There is a group of fork-tailed drongos that are around here that are making quite a noise around our cars. You can imagine those birds love to follow these breeding herds of elephants because they are kicking up some of the insects around us, so they can't quite see them. You can hear them though. So there goes that elephant. So let's head off to the hyena den now. We've had such a magnificent sighting of all these elephants. We were late on drive, but we were given the privilege to sit with elephants for nearly an hour. So let's say goodbye to these elephants now. We've said goodbye to about 3 groups of elephants as we've driven through here. And look at that background over there. It's just fantastic. The blues, the purples, the reds, the yellows. So this is the last day of being 25. There's more elephants up there. This is magical. There's one here. Wow, Anne would like to know how many trees can an elephant push over in a day. Well, Anne, you know, they can push over a number of them. You know, they graze 22 hours, graze and browse 22 hours a day. And if it, you know, most of the time they don't push over the tree, they'll just rip the bark off and graze and browse on some of the trees. When you hear the sound of trees breaking, it's often like we can see here with the tree that's broken to the side here. So it was broken a while ago and they're just moving that off the ground as they go past. So those big that sound of branches breaking is often from already fallen trees that they are then moving out of their way as they walk. So they don't intentionally always try. I mean, look at this tree. This tree's been absolutely snapped in half. Look at that damage that that tree has made, but that tree is still alive. You can still see some green. And that is actually, I think it's the red thorn acacia. It's one of the acacia trees. And the elephants love that tree. They absolutely love it. And even though they've got those big thorns on them, they can still wrap that trunk around the thorns. Their skin is thick enough to deal with that sort of pressure. Tony would like to know, how often do the trees die when an elephant will knock them over? Well, Tony, you know, it depends. Depends if it bark the tree, which means sometimes the elephant is trying to use that rich nutrient layer within just around the lips open and gets to that nutrient layer, the tree, and then it becomes weaker and it gets knocked over. So it really depends.
So unfortunately we experienced some tech difficulties. That's one of the things about being alive and in the bush, but our tech crew is on it and not asleep like the lions behind me. Hopefully we'll be back with you shortly.
Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gowrie repeater, just like the elephants have pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can.
Hi everyone, we are experiencing technical difficulties, but please bear with us. Our engineering department and our tech department will be working on getting us back up and running as quickly as possible. As you know, bringing you live safaris from the middle of the African bush is not always the easiest task in the world, but we will be back up, and stick with us because you never know what might be on your screen when we return to you.
So unfortunately we experienced some tech difficulties. That's one of the things about being alive and in the bush, but our tech crew is on it and not asleep like the lions behind me. Hopefully we'll be back with you shortly.
Sorry about this, everybody. Perhaps something has pushed over the Gowrie repeater, just like the elephants have pushed over this marula tree. Our technical team is rushing around madly trying to fix it, and we'll be back with you as soon as we can.
Hi everyone, we are experiencing technical difficulties, but please bear with us. Our engineering department and our tech department will be working on getting us back up and running as quickly as possible. As you know, bringing you live safaris from the middle of the African bush is not always the easiest task in the world, but we will be back up, and stick with us because you never know what might be on your screen when we return to you.
So unfortunately, we experienced some tech difficulties. That's one of the things about being live and in the bush. But our tech crew is on it and not asleep like the lions behind me. Hopefully we'll be back with you shortly. Sorry about all the gremlins, but we're back. And as you can see, the light is dipping. It's getting chilly, but hopefully it's going to bring out some of the other animals that we haven't seen yet on this sunset safari. But it has brought out sunset, as we can see in front of us. And a beautiful looking sunset it is. So unfortunately, with all the gremlins this evening, it means we're going to have to stay quite close to home. So we're going to go see what's happening on quarantine. All right, here will do. And before it gets too dark, you enjoy the little female elephants. Well, not so little, a big female elephant. Lots of ellies around. Incredible for how long during a day elephants will feed for. So Zoe is wondering, do females stay together all their life? And it's the males that leave. Well, Zoe, to a degree, most breeding herds are made up of related females. But when the herds become too big, they will splinter off into smaller herds. They do come together from time to time, but not necessarily for their whole lives will they remain in the same herd. But the males do disperse and move well away from their natal herd. And she's moving off towards the Moati River. I'm going to carry on, see what else is out there. Justin's wondering, do we have daylight savings out here in Africa, like in the US or the UK? We do not have daylight savings, Justin. We just sort of carry on. Where we are in the north of the country, it's not too much of an issue. And there is a difference, but not a vast difference between our winter and summer. Now, if you live on the equator, for example, there's very little difference between the time the sun rises and sets, whether you be winter or summer. Oh, more ellies everywhere. It's a bit dark. Yeah, we're not going to stay with them. It's a bit too dark for the ellies now. We'll be checking what else is out and about. Billy the backpacker would like to know, or was wondering, what could be causing that leak in the elephant's orbital glands there, just behind the eyes. Not Billy. And probably, it can be quite a different things. It can be stress from lack of food, lack of water. It can also just be hormonal. So it could be an estrous cycle coming into play, pregnancy. Okay, there we go. You got him, Andre. A legomorph, the African scrub hare. Hello, little chap. Now, there are grazers as well, and of course there's not too much grass about, but they've got a very interesting way of ensuring they get the most amount of nutrients out of whatever they eat. So they will actually eat their own feces up to 7 times to make sure there's no nutrients going to waste. And you see he's really tucking into that little bit of grass there. And you see big ears, big eyes, and that white circle, or that paler circle around his eyes to help catch any ambient light to improve his night vision. So Mike, the big birder from Florida, says he's going to be without internet for a week. And is there any possible chance of us finding a nightjar before he goes? Oh, look at that rabbit. Oh, off it goes down the hatch. Little scrub hare. Very efficient feeding method he's got going on there. But Mike, we will definitely try to find you a nightjar before you disappear. And let's go have a look and see if we can see one out on Anarat quarantine. Get my spotlight ready. It's back down right there. Oh, there's a wildebeest. They're not going to put the light on him as you go past. And interestingly enough, Molly was just asking about wildebeest. Said, what is the difference between a black wildebeest and a blue wildebeest, and why don't we get black wildebeest here? So black wildebeest are quite a bit darker. They don't have that sort of brindled gunmetal blue color of the blue wildebeest. They also have forward-facing horns as opposed to side-facing horns. And they have become high-veld specialists. So they live on the open grasslands of the high-veld. And so they would, where there's a lot more grass, so they've become specialized to that area. And that's why we don't get them down here in the low-veld. But they split, or the wildebeest split about over 1 million years ago to form those two different species. So they've been apart for a while. There's very few areas where you get both occurring naturally, and even then you'll have sort of the blue wildebeest in the river valley, and then up on the hills you will get the black wildebeest. So while we search for a nightjar for Mike, let's go see what Sam's up to.
So here we are, everyone. We had such a cool sighting of those elephants a little bit earlier. There must have been about 60 of them moving up through there. So it was great to come straight out and to drive and sit in the middle of a breeding herd. I was really quite, very excited, very content with that experience. And I've just come back to the area where I found the lions this morning, or myself and VM found those lions, which was also very exciting. We came from here, we tracked them all the way down to the gates, and then we found them at the gates, and I went out to go look for tracks, and all of a sudden the one female leopard just got up and went whoop. She looked at me and I was like, hello, and I got back in my car. Oh, sorry, there's people having a nice evening drink by Sydney's Dam, so they're not wild animals. So that's where we are. We're at Sydney's Dam. And now we're going towards the hyena den. We can't view the hyenas when it's this dark, but potentially there will be a few hyenas that jump out. Well, we can't, let me make it more specific. We can't view the hyenas if they're in the den and the cubs are there, because the cubs are still, it's not good for them to shine a light at them. So we'll just go past there, and there could potentially be one or two of the adult hyenas running out. So I just would really like to see the hyenas. I saw them at 6 o'clock this morning, so we might just be able to see them 12 hours later for another view of the hyenas. But in the same fashion, I heard that we should look for a nightjar, so we'll see if we can find you a nightjar. And I would also like to see a bush baby. So who would like to see a bush baby? I know that I would. Let's see if we can find one. I definitely want to see a bush baby tomorrow. One of my favorite animals to see. That's a Tony. What animal do I think has a stronger bite? A jaguar or a hyena? It's a very cool question to talk about. I think when I saw, imagine a leopard. Okay, just imagine a jaguar, or imagine a leopard, so a big male leopard. Okay, so and our jaguar almost looks like it's just got bigger forearms, bigger neck, stronger neck, and of course a very powerful jaw. But I don't think that'll take a hyena's jaw, because the hyena's jaw is known to crush bones and just be a part of the bush that is able to collect any part of the carcass that it gets, So I think the hyena must have a stronger jaw than that of a jaguar. But I must say, a jaguar does have a strong. It's more just got more muscle. I think that would be the difference. Is a jaguar has quite a bit more muscle than that of a hyena in terms of, that area. But the jaw itself, I think the hyena will win that. I think that will be won by the hyena. Jaguars truly are just incredible looking animals. But I only had a couple seconds with it. I was there with a friend of mine in Brazil, and we went out and we saw all sorts of very cool things, and then that jaguar was up, and then it was gone. What was fascinating is that I was living on a farm next door to the Pantanal, and it was just my friend's farm, and the friend that I met at Schumacher College when I was studying last year, and I went out every morning, and you know, I would say to them, please can I go and just walk through the Pantanal, and they would look at me like I was a little bit crazy. And I'd be like, no, I know I've walked in the bush before with lions and leopards and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure I could deal with looking at a jaguar. And I went. Every morning I used to pack my bag full of all sorts of stuff. And I went looking for puma and jaguar and all sorts of epic things out there. Saw so many different birds, and I just went there on my own and discovered wilderness on my own. It was, I can't tell you, probably the best experience of my life. You know, just experiencing a wilderness on your own and getting to know new ecosystems and new forms of life that live on this fantastic planet. It's just it really is a privilege. It really was a privilege. But to be back in the savannah feels a little bit more at home for me. And I'm really, really enjoying getting to know the savannah a little bit better after leaving it after a year and a half. Hopefully I get that opportunity to see the Pantanal again. So Kendall, you would like to know what we do in between drives. Well, you know, I've shown people quite a few of my drawings and my pictures. I'll actually show you my recent one. I do a lot of drawing, and I do a bit of gardening. So I garden, do some gardening, I do some drawing, and I do a lot of running and gymming. Well, mainly running. I just run around quarantine about 6 or 7 times just to I don't know, get some sort of fitness, because I am in a car all day. Do I have it? There we go. So please don't laugh at my bush baby. I mean, you can laugh if you want to. Of course you can. Like my landlord, you're more than welcome to laugh at it. But there is my bush baby. So I drew that, and I've just been learning a few things about it. And there it is on the left there. And it's quite funny. Brian had a good laugh at it the other day. He said it looked like, you know those things that you can buy that look like a moustache and glasses that you can just put on your face? So he said that the lesser Galago here looks like it's got a moustache and glasses on, this little bush baby that I drew here. But I love this, hey? This is such a good way to learn about the bush and draw. Louise just said to me it looks like he's in disguise there, so he's a good-looking bush baby. So let's see, now that we've got a picture of it and we know a little bit about what it looks like, let's go and see if we can find one in the bush. I know that we're looking for a nightjar as well, so we'll see if we can find a nightjar and a bush baby. And I must say, the last 2 days have just been incredible in the bush, you know. When I went out with Dave and found that female leopard at Arethusa, it's just the feeling you get when you find an animal that you've never seen before, and just the experience of that animal is really, really exciting. I was so happy to find that female leopard. It was so cool. Yeah, and just to say, Kendall, a little bit more about what we like to do. We like to, you know, plant gardens. Rebecca, myself, Louise, and Brian are growing a garden. I haven't started growing my chilies and my spinach because I'm going home in 2 weeks, and I want to go and collect some of the seeds that are heirloom seeds, which means that they can regrow. You know, you get some seeds, I think, some seeds you can't actually regrow. They don't seed themselves afterwards. So I want to go get some proper seeds. And I like to read, of course I have to study, so I do some drawing, and I go chat with James, and I have a good time with all the people in camp, go tracking, you know, all those sort of things. So it's great out there, Kendall. I thoroughly enjoy it. Let's see if we can find this. I really, really want to find a bush baby now that I've shown you the picture, just to see what you guys would have thought my picture looked like. Wow. 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 Chris Rogue, thank you so much, Chris Rogue, for coming out and proving that the jaguar has a stronger jaw to the hyena. So what I caught from that conversation there that Louise just fed through to my ear there was that it was 1,100 pounds per something. 1,000 pounds per square inch of force. 1,100 pounds per square inch of force compared to that of a jaguar, which is 2,000 pounds per square inch, which is such fascinating. Chris, thank you so much for filling us in with that detail. Great to know that the jaguar has a stronger jaw than that of a hyena. And I'm just thinking about it now, you know, like the Pantanal has a very, very different kind of ecology where it has waterine area, like during the rainy season, the whole area fills up with water, much like the Okavango Delta. And in that place where all the water fills up, all the jaguars are living in little islands almost around the Pantanal. And so they swim across to the different islands, obviously to go and find food, but then also they have to pull and drag those kills that they make up trees and all that sort of thing. So it does make sense that they had very, very powerful. I just saw something, and it looks like it was a light to our lodge in the good distance there. So that was actually just the light of probably hopefully not my light. I never like to leave my light on in my room. Wasting energy. Shouldn't be doing that. So we are going to find us a bush baby. I'm determined to find us a bush baby this evening. Might just be lucky enough to find one. So we've also got Dave with a light out here, and Dave's a great spotter. Dangerous Dave, otherwise known as Davy, there we go. That's his nickname, Davy. But I also call him Binocular Dave because he's got such great vision. I'll never forget, we were just driving in Cheetah Plains looking for something, and he just turns on his binocular vision. Next thing, Dave spotted 2 cheetah that must have been, they were quite far away from us. So well done, Davy.
Thanks, Sam.
Let's find the viewers a bush baby. So they have quite a red glow in their eyes. And what's quite fascinating is with bush babies, they have to, because their eyes are fixed in their head, they have to move their head in able to see anything. Like we can sit still and move our eyes around in our eye sockets, but a bush baby can't, apparently. And so it's almost like us wearing binoculars. We have to move around like this, up, down, left, right. And that's quite similar to that of a bush baby. So it's quite an interesting fact about a bush baby before we find one. Exactly. Debbie, I really agree with what you said there. That's the main reason why I like drawing. And it's why I started, I don't know if you would have seen, it's called empathy maps, where I draw the animal and then I write the facts about it. And when you draw it, like the other day, I was drawing the honey badger. I drew it, and I noticed that when I was drawing the front claws of the honey badger, that the honey badger has much stronger feet in the front than that of the back. And I only realized that through drawing it, it's just fascinating. You just learn it in a different way. But it looks like I've failed you this evening to find a bush baby. I've been searching while chatting. It's not easy to do 2 at once. But we have come towards the end of our drive. I'm sorry that it was quite short with the tech loops, but that's just sometimes how it is out here in the bush when we're trying to bring you this wilderness. And it's been a fantastic drive. We came straight out, elephants and all sorts of cool things. So thank you very much for staying with us until the end. Davy, you've been great. Louise and Geraldine, thank you. And we shall see you all for the sunrise safari tomorrow. It's my birthday, so I'm hoping we can find something really, really cool. All the best, and we'll see you tomorrow.
So you're with me for the last little bit of the sunset safari. And Safari Dean has reminded me of something that I almost completely forgot. I have been looking for this nightjar that has been proving very elusive for once. Normally they're all over the place on the roads in front of you, but tonight, not so much. So Safari Dean reminded me that I picked up some quartz. And then I've just got located. Where's my nice big pink one? A big, lovely piece of pink quartz. There we go. That we picked up. Picked up some other quartz as well. So now we're going to have to kill all the lights one at a time. Hey, Andre, should I get out of the car? It'll be okay here. Okay, I'm just going to turn the lights off. I might have to turn off the vent light as well, don't I? Get the focus. Okay, there we go. I'm going to try strike it now. Hey, can you see that, John? So there we go, you can see the spark. Now, not a very hot spark, and I do like that smell, don't you? That smell, and it's almost like a gunpowdery smell when you strike quartz together. And there we go, made a spark, and that gives us a chance for one last gander at a nightjar. James Richard, very good memory. He wants to know if I ever finished reading the book about the unidentified, or one of the rarest nightjars in the world, the Nishivar's nightjar. I haven't. Jamie is still got it, so I have to wait for her to finish before I can finish it. I think she took it to England with her, but she'll be back tomorrow. Probably not on drive tomorrow, but she'll be landing back from the UK tomorrow and making her way back here. I saw an eye. What was said eye? I thought it could be a civet for a quick view I had. Whatever it is, it's disappeared. It was just in the grass here, but it took off. Well, it's definitely not those eyes that are coming up ahead. I don't want to blind them. Shame, there's some zebras about to cross the road. There we go. Where did you go? Whatever eye was in this grass. So Nico's wondering what we saw on the sunset safari this evening. Well, lots of ellies, some buffalo, wildebeest, but we will be chatting about that shortly. If you have Facebook, Nico, you can watch on Facebook Live. So all you need to do, go onto the Safari Live Facebook page, and probably in about 10 or 15 minutes, we'll have a chat with you, and we'll take your comments as you feed them through to us. And it gives us a way to chat with you sort of far quicker, and we try to keep up with all the comments and questions, and we do like hearing from you. That's another way to get hold of us. And Mike from Florida, I'm so sorry, but the nightjars seem to be evading us this evening, and hopefully you're going off to do some bird watching for the week that you don't have internet, so you'll be seeing birds for real. But join us bright and early for the sunrise safari tomorrow morning from Jean and myself. Adieu.